Hi everybody, my name's Amelia and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so recently I made a post on my community tab here on YouTube and I asked you guys what the next video you would like to see would be. And the majority of you, well, okay, look, the vote was kind of split, but the winner, the next video, happened to be the one that you're watching now. So today I'm going to be talking about agnosticism and spiritual soul searching. So the main reason that I wanted to create this video is because I myself, for the longest time, considered myself to be agnostic, and I am still soul searching. I think when it comes to religion, especially for people who were not born into a religion or born into a religious family, and even those who were but decided to leave that religion, it can be very difficult to know exactly what you believe and why, and I think that there's this sense of, like, disconnect almost. I think there's this sense of where do I belong, and wondering if there's something wrong with you because you don't believe the religion that you came into or you don't have one, and I think that it can lead a lot of us to feeling like we are just disconnected or that we are separate or that we're viewing life from the outside looking in. So today I wanted to offer you guys some comfort knowing that you are not alone if you're agnostic, and also just have like a whole video pretty much talking about what agnosticism is, as well as tips for defining your belief system, finding the religion that best suits you, or creating something entirely new and having your own sort of spiritual belief system. Now, before I get into this entire video, I want to say to anybody who is religious or part of a religion that I do not want any religious hate or turmoil down in my comments section. This also includes people who are agnostic. I think that spreading hate is going to get us nowhere, especially if we're trying to define our belief systems. And this entire video is just sort of a philosophical commentary, if you will, as well as some tips from my personal experiences that I think could help those who are soul searching. But yeah, I think we should be very kind, and I think that there is value in religion. There's also value in spiritual discovery and spiritual soul searching, and so I don't want to have this be a video that spreads hate in any way, and I'm just not going to tolerate it, so please, 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 please be kind to one another. Thank you. And moving on from that, I also have a disclaimer, which is that I am not a spiritual leader, nor a spiritual teacher, nor a spiritual consultant. I'm just a normal human being. I'm actually a writer by profession, and this is just something that really interests me, and I wanted to talk about it. I'm also a tarot reader by profession. If you want to learn more, you can find me on Instagram at IndieTarotMystique or down in my link to my website below. But yeah, now that that is all said and done, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get this conversation started. Okay, so first and foremost, I think it's important for us to define agnostic, or the term agnostic, as well as the term agnosticism. Agnostic is going to refer to a noun, so to a person, and agnosticism is going to refer to the belief system, but we're going to look at that root word there, agnostic, so that way we can better understand exactly what that means. So according to Google, the dictionary definition of agnostic is a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence or nature of God, or of anything beyond material phenomena. A person who claims neither faith nor disbelief in God. I think that second part is very interesting because I think there is the dictionary definition as well as the sort of casual definition. So the dictionary definition is referring to agnostic as a person who says that nothing can be truly known about God or the afterlife or religion in general, and that because it cannot truly be known, it's not that they're disproving it, nor are they accepting it, it's just that because it cannot be known either way, you're sort of in this limbo sort of state. But the second definition is the more casual definition, which is just sort of saying, like, I neither believe nor disbelieve in God or the afterlife. I accept that both one or the other could be true, maybe neither is true, you know, I accept that I don't know the answer. So agnosticism is very much a sort of, not necessarily a religion in its own right, but it is a category of spiritualism which basically says that you don't know the answer and that's okay. There are so many people, at least in my life, that I know who are spiritually soul-searching who do not know the answer. Now, I do know a lot of people from other religions who are very solid in their beliefs, but I also know a lot of people who are soul-searching. Now, before I continue on, I want to point out that I am not agnostic, or at least I don't consider myself agnostic, because I'm pretty certain on a few things regarding my personal spiritual philosophies. However, I have been agnostic in the past. There was a time where I neither disbelieved nor believed in God, and that is something that is very common in agnosticism. But I will point out that one thing I do kind of agree with agnosticism is that we don't know for sure what God is or what the afterlife is. Like, we cannot be certain until we enter that spiritual plane of existence. In this physical reality, we cannot be certain. At least, that's my personal philosophy. Again, that is very much an agnostic belief. Though again, I have views that would not be part of agnosticism. Okay, but if that sounds like you, if this idea of agnosticism sounds like what you're going through or where you are in your spiritual journey, then this is what this video is for you. So now that we've covered that, I want to go ahead and start offering you some advice and some tips for better defining your spiritual belief system. This is not to say that you have to. Again, agnosticism is perfectly fine. It is a belief system in a way. Basically, again, saying that you neither believe nor disbelieve in the presence of God or in the afterlife or all that the spiritual existence must entail. You neither believe nor disbelieve either story, and that means that you just accept whatever will come will come. It also means that you're on the fence and maybe you're still looking for answers, and that's okay. I don't think you need to rush it. One of the big things I want to put out here before we really get started is do not rush your spiritual journey. Do not rush your belief system. I think it's really important to let it sit and saturate and try to understand what it is that you believe rather than trying to force a square peg in a round hole, if that makes sense. Like, don't force something to be a belief system of yours unless you truly want that to be your belief system. I think it's really important to meditate on it, think about it, just sit and reflect. And it's okay if it takes years. It's still taking years for me. Something else that I've seen a lot or heard a lot is from other people who don't quite understand agnosticism, or who have questions like, how could someone even be agnostic? How can you not have a grounded idea of your faith or reality or whatever? And I've had this question a lot from Christians as well as atheists. Now, this is also because of where I live. I live in Indiana in the United States. So the area around me is very Christian, but there's also a lot of atheists, or at least there were when I was in school. I don't really see that many atheists now that I'm out of school. My friend group and social circle has shrunken. But I remember that being a very big question from people. It's like, why don't you have anything that you believe in? And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with you if you don't, or that there's anything wrong with you if you do. For me personally, I grew up in a non-religious household. My parents weren't atheist, but they weren't religious either. I did go to church with friends, but my family never went. And my family never really discussed religious beliefs or spiritual matters. I am a little bit different from them in the fact that I do focus so much on spirituality because it feels like something that's really important to me, but it's not something that my family really talked about or dove into. I also grew up with a wide variety of friends from different walks of life, different religions, and that really influenced me growing up. It started off with a lot of Christianity and Catholicism, and then as I got older, I started meeting new people who believed in Hinduism, who were Muslim, who were Jewish, who were Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, there were so many different religions and philosophies to look at, so that really shaped me. Plus, I've just been very interested in religion for, I don't even know, a long time. And maybe you're in the same boat as me, or maybe you have a different story, maybe you haven't been exposed to as many different religions or groups of people, or maybe for you, you grew up in a very similar family dynamic where your family wasn't really religious, or at least not openly practicing anything, and so you're spiritually exploring. And again, your story could look totally different from mine. Maybe you left a religion and now you're looking for something else. But yeah, we all come from different places, and I think it's really interesting, and I think that my tips here, I'm trying very hard not to be biased, and I want to offer you some ideas if you are spiritually soul-searching. So now that we have answered some of the big questions, let's dive into those tips. These are specifically going to be tips to define your belief system. I think it's important to have a belief system before you can really tie yourself to a religion. I say tie, like ground yourself in a religion, find the religion that works best for you, or maybe the spirituality that works best for you. I think it's really important to get solid on your belief systems first. So tip number one, you're gonna hate me, but it's keep an open mind. I know, that's such a vague tip, but my purpose with this is that you can't expect to go soul searching and looking for answers if you're not being open about these sort of experiences that you're going to receive. I think it's easy, at least for people who live very much around me, where Christianity is the dominant religion. It's very easy to either think that you have to view everything through a Christian lens or everything through an atheistic lens, or just give up altogether. And I think that that's not exactly keeping an open mind. There are Unitarian Universalist churches near me. That's a whole other religion. I'll put the definition of that up on the screen, but that's something that you may never have heard of before. There's also other religions that exist that might be smaller, and I'll put some more examples up on the screen, but these things exist, and I feel like there's a lot of people who just don't know about them. And perhaps you feel like Christianity isn't quite right for you, but something in it is correct, or it connects a lot to your belief systems, and maybe you haven't really looked into Catholicism or being a Jehovah's Witness, or you haven't looked into Mormonism. There are so many different branches in religion and so many different religions to choose from. The world is such a colorful place, it's such a beautiful place with so many different ideas, and if you have only been exposed to a few ideas, it's very hard to know if those are what you believe or if you need to branch out a bit. So that's why I say to keep an open mind, because you never know what's going to come to you and you never know what is going to click. Okay, this next tip is a bit more practical, and that is to try anything once. Now, I know that sounds strange, and obviously this tip comes with the warning of like, try anything once that you're comfortable with. I do think there is some value in stepping outside of your comfort zone, but again, when it comes to discovering your belief system and your religion, I think it's very much based in starting off slow, taking your time, and making sure it really resonates with you. If something doesn't feel right, maybe that's not for you. For some of you guys, you know that I do tarot, I practice tarot, and there are people out there who are perhaps agnostic, who don't believe in tarot, or they're a little freaked out by it because it very much is seen as kind of like a Ouija board, as kind of like a occult thing. I mean, it is an occult thing. It's seen as spooky and dangerous, and if that scares you, if that makes you uncomfortable, then avoid it. There's nothing wrong with avoiding something because it makes you hesitant or nervous or freaks you out. You should feel comfortable in your belief system, you should feel comfortable in your spirituality, your philosophy, your religion, whatever it is. And if something just doesn't feel right, it's okay to say no. With that said, I do think that if something is just sort of indifferent to you, or you had never considered trying it out before, it can help a lot just to try it once. And by try it, I'm talking about attending festivals, attending religious ceremonies, going to holiday events from different places, visiting religious sites, and visiting spaces where these communities gather. Now, of course, there is another thing that you need to be careful of, and that is that you want to go to public spaces. So I would say don't just show up to a private ceremony if you were not invited. Obviously, go to a public space. So like churches tend to be very public and welcoming of new people. So if you want to try a Presbyterian church, or you want to try out an Orthodox church, if there's one near you and it's a public space and they're holding mass or they're holding a church service on Sunday morning, usually their doors are open and they're welcoming. Obviously, you need to do your research a little bit beforehand to make sure that you are allowed to come in this space, as in this is a public thing. It's not like you're barging in on someone's wedding or you're barging in on a private ceremony or a private baptism. You obviously want to make sure that it's public and it's open to everybody. But for events and festivals like that are public, that are open to anybody who wants to come, I think that can be very beneficial. To give you some ideas of things I've personally done, I have gone to a few private and a few public. Now, the private ceremonies and events I was invited to, so that I'll talk about in a few tips from now, maybe one tip from now, I don't know, whatever's on my phone, whatever's in my notes. But I have gone to a few private ones, but I've also gone to a few public ceremonies and events. One of them being Christmas Eve church service, as well as Easter church service. everybody's welcome to that, and I've gone to quite a few different churches and experienced that, and it's been very interesting and very fulfilling to me. Now, I know a lot of people have been hesitant to go to if you've never been Christian, you don't have any Christian friends. I have people in my life who've been hesitant to attend, say, the Christmas Eve service because they're like, what if I don't like it? What if I only attend one service and then I never go again? To which I say, that is okay. It is okay. As long as you are being respectful and you go there and you're trying to learn, have a good time, people are generally very welcoming and everybody's in good spirits at that time anyway, so that can be a really good time to go. Plus, I personally think Christmas Eve services in the Christian church are just phenomenal. I've loved everyone that I've ever gone to, and I think that it's just a very welcoming space, and I don't feel bad if I decide that that church isn't for me and that I don't return, simply because I am, like I said, soul searching. And again, if you're walking in with good intent and you're trying to better learn about this religion or learn about its people or see if it's the right fit for you, I don't think there's anything wrong with attending the service, even if it's only one time. Another thing I've done, I've gone to a Hindu temple. Now, this is also because I do have a friend who is Indian, and she and her family are Hindu, and so I have gone to a Hindu temple through her. However, this temple is open to the public, so anybody could go, and one of the celebrations I really liked going to, one of the ceremonies, is Holi, which is the spring festival. A lot of people know it as like the color festival too, because you get to throw out colorful powder and it's super pretty. But also, it's really nice just to go to the temple and read the plaques and learn about the gods and to experience that service. Okay, so obviously you can attend public spaces so long as they are public to experience the different religions and different cultures. I think that's really beneficial to everybody, especially if you're agnostic and you're soul searching. And this leads into the next tip, which is that it's important to meet people in different communities and have a discussion. For the most part, I've found that as long as you are respectful and as long as you are asking genuine questions and you're actually trying to learn about someone else's religion or their practice or whatever, people are very, very, very open about it and very kind and very educational and informational. I have spoken to so many different people and asked a lot of different questions about different religions, about different practices that they have. I've asked if I could attend events with them, and for the most part I've heard a lot of yeses and a lot of invites, and it's been very, very honestly like touching to me, and it has been probably one of the most fulfilling types of things that I can do in my daily life. Again, you want to be respectful, and the idea behind this, at least for me, was to explore different religions with an actual person who I can talk to and ask questions directly rather than reading stuff online, and experience the whole thing from an average person's point of view, and to have a more practical in-person connection with what is happening in that religion. So one of the good examples would be, I have two that I'm thinking of. I have a friend who is a Jehovah's Witness, and I have talked to him about his religion and explored that and asked him a lot of questions, and he's been very, very helpful to me and answered my questions, and it really helped me to better define my belief system. And I've also spoken to a Shawnee woman who also talked about her spiritual belief and her religion, and that's been very enlightening as well. So finding people that you can talk to from a wide range of life, from all walks of life, can be very helpful. Okay, so let's say that you might be a little shy, or maybe there isn't really a lot of people in your area that you can go seek out from different walks of life. Maybe you have tried some of these things and they weren't for you and you're not really sure where to turn. I think the next step is just research, research, research. Research is going to get you far, honestly. And again, I think there are some things that are missing from textbook materials. Like, obviously we can look up stuff about Christianity online, but ultimately it can be very beneficial to go and seek out people in the religion to have a better understanding of what's going on. But online articles, online forums, all of those things can be very useful. Another thing that I'll point out is that if the religion has a sort of like a source text, if you will, I would highly encourage you to seek that out. So by source text, I'm talking about things like the Holy Bible, the Quran, the I Ching, the Vedic texts, etc. If you can find those source documents or those source books and read them, then I think that is going to better benefit you, and that will really, really help you to see if a religion is right for you. So I highly recommend going to those source texts if you can. A lot of them are free online, or you can find them through like thrift stores or like thrift bookstores, or you can get an app on your phone, and that will help a lot. Okay, so this next thing is a bit strange, but bear with me. One tip I have for people who are agnostic, who are searching for a belief system, is to unpack any religious trauma or like negative past experiences from interpersonal relationships. I have had to do this a few times with Christianity. Now again, I have the most experience from Christianity because I had a lot of people in my life who are Christian who invited me to church. But I also, because of that, got a lot of negative experiences from church, and it had nothing to do with God, it had nothing to do with the Bible or the holy text at all, and it had everything to do with the people around me. Humans are flawed, and I think that this is something that's really important for us to understand, is that when it comes to religion, when it comes to a spiritual connection, when it comes to a spiritual belief system, it doesn't have as much to do with other people as it does with you and what you believe exists beyond physical reality. And I think that a lot of us get so wrapped up in our past traumas and our past experiences that we find it challenging or difficult or perhaps even impossible to connect with a certain religion because of it. For me, the best way to unpack my trauma, which wasn't really trauma, it was honestly just negative experiences. The best way for me to unpack and get over those negative experiences was to recognize that the negative experiences that I felt were because of people who treated me poorly, who called me names, who were degrading to me, and it had nothing to do with the actual service or the Bible itself. And so that's partially why I started reading the Bible again. And reading the Bible the first time when I did it was because people had not been kind to me when I was younger. But that definitely helped to separate the negative experiences from the actual religion. So if you have negative experiences, write them down and see if it was because of people or because of a belief system within that religion. That's really important to define. Okay, so my next tip for people who are spiritually searching, soul searching, all of that good stuff, is to consider the foundations of things that you already believe. Now, this can be tricky. It depends on where you are in your journey. For me, this is a bit easier because, like I said, there are some things I don't know for certain, but there are other things that I feel pretty certain about. And because of that, I do have a foundation of beliefs, like a start, if you will. Now, this can be things like, do you believe there is one God? Do you believe there are multiple gods? How do you view God? It could be something as like, do you believe in angels? Do you believe in heaven and hell? Do you believe in like a different kind of afterlife? Do you believe in purgatory? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in spirit guides? And it can extend a lot farther than just that. But having a foundation to start off, having a framework to begin with, can really help. Again, you may not have that yet, especially if you're just starting this journey or if you're really confused on what you believe, or you're just, accept that anything could happen, you're not really sure what it is that you firmly believe in. That's okay, and this tip may not help you. But for other people, it can be very beneficial to think, what do I believe in at the moment, and what do I need to work on? What am I still exploring? So I've already kind of moved on to the next tip on accident, but after you have your foundation, after you've considered what your foundational beliefs are, you can move on to asking yourself the bigger questions. And I'm going to put them up on the screen, and there's plenty more than just what I'm about to say, but asking yourself these big questions and really sitting on it and letting yourself look into it and reminding yourself of these questions as you do your research is going to be helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and start saying them. Do you believe in one God, a pantheon of gods, or no gods? Do you believe in an afterlife? What does that afterlife look like? Do you believe in astrology? Do you believe in the tarot? Do you believe in psychic abilities? Do you believe in angels or ghosts or spirit guides? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe in enlightenment? What do you believe about the soul? These are really big questions, but these are some of the questions that often define different religions. Let's say that you believe in one God. Well, then you're going to want to look at monotheistic religions. Let's say you believe that there are multiple gods. Well, then you're going to want to look at polytheistic religions. Let's say that you believe in reincarnation. Well, if that's the case, you're going to want to look at religions that talk about and believe in reincarnation. I think that starting with these big questions, it can really help direct you to the sources that you need to go to first, and it will help you to find experiences, find groups and churches and temples and whatever it is that you need to talk to the right people, to ask the right questions, and to find source texts that might lead you to a belief system that resonates with what you already believe or feel like that, or you feel just makes sense. From there, I would say that it's important to look into different religions and their attributes and rules, consider whether you agree with one or more of them, and keep narrowing down your belief system by looking at rules and looking at the smaller beliefs in the religion. For example, in Christianity, there are tons of smaller rules. One of the big ones is that we should all try to emulate Christ. We should all try to follow in Christ's footsteps and do that which Christ would do, if that makes sense. And there's also this idea that you should accept Jesus as your savior, that he died for your sins so that you could have a better life and that you can have eternal life once you die if you follow Christ. So, like, there's a lot of minor details and minor rules and minor beliefs that exist in every religion, and knowing what those beliefs are, you can then start asking yourself whether you believe in those things or not. For example, if you didn't think that Jesus Christ was a person that ever existed and you think he represents more of a metaphor, then perhaps Christianity is not the religion for you. You need a different religion. Or maybe you really love astrology and follow astrology, and you might want to look into older traditions in astrology, specifically Vedic astrology, which has so many nuanced and important parts and belief systems interwoven into it. I think looking into these things and really focusing on the more nitty-gritty, if you will, can really help you to find out what it is that you actually believe in. And from there, it's very much a keep exploring, keep learning sort of thing that you gotta keep doing. That's my last tip, is just to keep expanding your knowledge, keep learning, keep exploring until you find something you feel solid in. And there is a chance that you won't feel solid in any of it. At the moment, I do not align myself with any one religion. There are just too many small pieces that I just do not agree with, I'm not totally on board with in different religions, and so therefore I haven't fully aligned myself to any one. And that is because I just don't agree with everything that the religion entails. So I am still searching. But I think that there's also this understanding and this sort of acceptance in knowing that you can sort of form your own belief system. You can become a spiritualist, if you will, and you don't have to put yourself into a religion that doesn't have everything that you want or doesn't resonate 100%. I think that it's possible, it's very much possible, to form your own path and your own belief system outside of religion or outside of traditional forms of spirituality. It's all very much a learning experience, and it's something that's very personal to each individual. It changes from person to person, and that's totally fine. But those are some of the tips I have if you are searching, and I wish that there was something more concrete than just going out and exploring different religions and learning as much as you can. But unfortunately, that is sort of how you make your belief system. You have to expose yourself to different ideas and philosophies and really run those over in your head and reflect on them and ask yourself the big questions. Without that, I feel like it would be very difficult to find a belief system that would work for you. So those are my tips if you are agnostic, if you are soul searching, because these are things that have helped me to really define my belief system. And while mine is not 100% complete, it is not 100% thought out, and I would have to define myself as at least partially agnostic, I think that it has definitely helped me. And one thing that I am still doing is I'm still learning, I'm still educating myself, I'm still exploring, because that is what I need to do. And it could take me years to find a belief system that best benefits me, and that's okay. And it might take years for you too, so who knows. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today's video. I really appreciate it, and I hope this helped you in some way or gave you some ideas, sparked some inspiration, you know, something. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I will will try to get to them as fast as I can. And anyway, I think that is all I have. So anyway, until next time, I will catch you